And good afternoon, everybody. Chris Bartell here from the Cascade Pacific Council with today's Wednesday webinar. We're going to be talking about summer camp health and safety. My cohorts here, Todd McDonald, Chris Harold, are going to join us here in just a moment. Thanks to all who are for joining us today. Really appreciate it. And we'll get started here. I'll do again just a little quick news update, and then we'll dive into today's topic because that's really what you're all here for. I know it. All right, let's go. First, of course, our safety moment, very important one because it's all about medical forms as you get ready for camp and all of your summer adventures. Great time to just make sure everybody's medical forms are up to date and up to snuff and all of that. So don't wait and do it now. Don't forget the parts A and B without a physical are required for all outings under 72 hours, and parts A, B, and C with your physical, with your doctor, are required for all events over 72 hours. So you can get those at scouting.org/forms for the latest and make that doctor appointment and get that done, gang. Thanks so much. All right, let's dive into the news and events happening around the Cascade Pacific Council. Of course, my team here is going to promote this. Summer camp reservations are now open for 2023 for Scouts BSA. Super excited for that. I know you're all here to talk about this summer, but this is now open for next summer for Scouts BSA. So check it out at cpcbsa.org/reservations because we are letting the cat out of the bag to all the folks all around the entire planet. Well, at least in the United States, to who want to come to our camps to enjoy summer camp here in the Cascade Pacific Council. So if you are in the CPC and you're joining us today, or you have been to some of our camps in the past, or are coming to our camps for the first time this year, you're going to want to check out the other camps too. They're awesome. So we have reservations open for that. All right, just want to remind you that Horse Trek is now ranch camp this summer because, some of those areas are still closed due to those wildfires. So we've moseyed on back to doing a ranch camp again this year. And so we're super excited about it. I'm going to let Scott DiPaolo tell us a little bit more about ranch camp here, and because he's got all the great details.
Howdy, folks. Hey, I'm Scott DiPaolo. I'm the head wrangler out here at Dew Creek Scout Ranch. And I'll tell you, the ranch ain't all about riding and roping and doing cowboy stuff. We do some other things out here. Like this summer at ranch camp, we're going to teach you how to fly fish, how to cook over an open fire, and how to find true north by the stars, how to guide yourself when you have no other way to go. And we're hoping that you'll come out and you'll enjoy ranch camp with us. So get on cpcbsa.org, check us out, or just call in to 503-226-3423. You're going to talk to Deanne. She's going to point you in the right direction for getting signed up. Can't wait to see you out here this summer. Make it a great day and happy trails.
All right, gang, we still have a few saddles open for that, and it is starting up here. June 18th is our first ranch camp. So June 18th through the 25th, and our second one is in August 20th through 22nd. But you're going to want to get in on that. We do, like I say, have a few saddles left. It is an awesome experience. You will have a blast, guaranteed. Everybody who went the last couple of years have just had an amazing, amazing, amazing time. Very unique, very special. So check it out at cpcbsa.org/horses for all of the information on that. All right, let's head over to our next slide here. This is something that is new. We have a membership summit happening on June 7th. So that's coming to here very quickly as well. This is an opportunity for you to connect with other leaders. This is for adult unit leaders, advisors, parents, anyone who really wants to really grow and have a thriving Scout unit. We're going to have lots of tips and tools and amazing opportunities to just help you grow your Scout unit. It's going to be really fantastic. This is, again, Tuesday, June 7th from 6:30 p.m. to 8 p.m. You will have a link in your email in your Compass Points newsletter tomorrow. So make sure you get in on that and RSVP for that as well. A couple quick things here on marketing. So speaking of promoting your scout unit, we have some new tools here at cpcbsa.org/marketing. I won't go into all of them there. There's a lot of tools there. We have these new postcards that are just really handy, really great. We've got templates that you can actually customize these on your own, or we'll customize them for you. Some really great stuff there. Also, we also have an opportunity to help you with your social media accounts. So if you create a Facebook page, a public page, or an Instagram feed, an Instagram account that's public, we can actually help and post to your social media accounts. And that'll help promote you, your scout unit, which is great. And then of course you can keep supplementing that. All the directions, how that all works is at cpcbsa.org/marketing. I mentioned it today because we have a captive audience of all of you summer campers here. So check that out at cpcbsa.org/marketing if you've not done so already. Couple important things here. On June 8th, we have an important unit leader training called Youth to Youth Bullying and Abuse. We have seen across the board and across the nation, not in scouting necessarily, but also really everywhere, they're seeing bullying and abuse on the rise. And we in the Boy Scouts of America want to be ahead of this, and we want to reverse this trend. So join us on June 8th or June 16th. This is not a mandatory leaders training, but really, really recommended. And we'd love to require it, but we can't. So we would love it if you could all just be here for this. It's going to be really important because we're having a team from National is going to join us, and we're starting a new program here to focus on youth to youth bullying and abuse. We'll have more on that today as well. Also, a quick deadline here. You're going to want to remember to renew your merit badge counselorship, if you will, by July 1st. If you haven't done so already, check your email if you're a merit badge counselor, because it's a very, very easy process to renew, but we want to make sure you do this so you don't lose any connections with any scouts that you're currently working with. Really, really important. It's a super simple 3-step process. We've got a webinar on that. You've got emails on this. So check your email and check the spam filter for that. Really important. We also send out postcards to you. So check your mail, check your email, and make sure you update your status there as a merit badge counselor. One other thing to note is Cub Scout Corner. This is a great opportunity for more training. Speaking of training, gosh, all these great trainings and things. So this is our friend, Deb Hildebrand. She conducts these fantastic training opportunities for Cub Scout leaders to just dive in, learn more, get some tools, get some tricks, get some tips. She's actually hosting one tomorrow. These are typically on the 4th Thursday of the month. And tomorrow is all about NOVA programs. So check that out. You'll actually have links to this in your email as well if you're in the Cascade Pacific Council. So check out your Compass Points newsletter for that. She's got multiple topics, a new topic every month. Again, mostly on the 4th Thursday of every month. Some great training for you Cub Scout leaders and parents. For Scouts BSA, we have Meriting with the Experts. This is an opportunity for you to connect with fantastic experts in their field. In this case, it's the Evergreen Aviation and Space Museum. They have multiple weekends where you can go and earn merit badges, or at least partials for a bunch of merit badges. So check it out at cpcbsa.org/calendar. There are a whole bunch of opportunities throughout the rest of the year. So you're going to want to just do a little search for Meriting with the Experts, see what date works with you and works for your scouts, and join us for that. Also, speaking of more training, National Youth Leadership Training is happening this summer. There are 3 courses, and 2 in July, 1 in August. This is fantastic leadership training for our youth. Anyone over 13 years and up can do this. This is awesome training to really learn how to improve your leadership and the tools that you use in your scout units. Join us for that. It's really renowned as a national, well, we call it National Youth Leadership Training, and that's really what it is. So join us for that. You can find out all the information at cpcbsa.org/NYLT. More training for parents, for adults this time. It's Wood Badge. So join us for this. This is an awesome opportunity for you as an adult to grow in your leadership skills in scouting, career, and life. You're going to build relationships. You're going to have a blast. I'm super excited about it. It's happening 2 weekends in September. It is required. Both weekends are required, but it is going to be a blast. So check that out at cpcbsa.org/Wood Badge. We have a webinar on that as well. You can get more information on that. Really some fantastic opportunities for training. Couple of quick dates we want you to just mark in your calendars. If you're at all interested in meeting scouts from across the nation or across the world, this is the place to do it. National Jamboree is all about meeting scouts from across the nation. It is happening July 2023. You find out more information on that at cpcbsa.org/jamboree. It is an incredible, incredible experience, and it is at Summit Bechtel Reserve, which has all the big toys for Big Scouts. So check that out at cpcbsa.org/jamboree. Also, you can meet scouts from across the world at World Jamboree next year in August 2023. Go to WSJ2023.us. That's WSJ2023.us for information on that. It's in Korea. It's fantastic. World Jamboree is an incredible experience to see how scouts do scouting across the world and meet scouts from everywhere. It's amazing. Okay, one quick thing about Scout Shop. A couple great sales happening as we speak. Memorial Day sale is happening through the 30th. And then we have this Thorlo sock sale through June 22nd. So there are lots of opportunities to just make some, get some deals, get your Scout shirt updated, get all the great specials that you see at the Scout Shop. There's always stuff on sale, but you're going to want to check it out at cpcbsa.org/Scout Shop. They are closed on Memorial Day. So join us in the Saturday. Come on in, check out the sales, see what's on sale, get all the gear you need for camping. It's going to be awesome. So check it out at cpcbsa.org/Scout Shop. You can give them a call there and see what time we're open or whatnot. Or if you have questions, just give them a call because it's they're really, really helpful about all things scouting gear wise. So check that out. Okay. Enough of that. I went 1 minute too long. Todd said to keep it under 10 minutes. So anyway, well, welcome Todd and Chris. These are the camping crew. They know all things camping. And today we're going to talk about summer camp health and safety. Super excited about it. And I will let you gents take it away.
Well, thank you, Chris. It's my pleasure to be with you all today. Summer camp health and safety. It's an interesting topic. I had the occasion to talk with our national health and safety coordinator, and he shared with me an insight that a lot of the times the policies that he ends up needing to implement comes from watching unit and district Facebook videos of the pictures and stuff that are being posted online. They're like, wait, we're doing that? We shouldn't be doing that. What are we thinking? For summer camp, we work hard to keep kids safe. It's our number one priority. In fact, I was walking through the woods at one of our camps earlier this week, and my friend was with me, and he said, hey, don't you carry bear spray with you? Aren't you concerned about finding bears? I said, no, I'm not concerned about the bears at camp. I'm concerned about scouts getting hurt. And honestly, anything we do, we know there's some risk involved, but we can do these things mitigating the risk and keeping our scouts as safe as possible. So that's what today's about, is just giving some background on how to keep your scouts safe at camp and how to keep and the steps and measures we put into place at camp to keep all of our scouts safe while they're there. So without further ado, let's jump right in. Our promise is a first class summer camp experience for our scouts. We've got lots of things that make it that way. I mean, nobody's going to consider it a first class experience if they find themselves injured when they didn't need to be. And so we're working hard. That's where the safety comes in. Let's move right along. Our goal with summer camp is that your pack or your troop comes out the other side stronger. So our focus with our camp staff, with our camp managers, is your pack or your troop. It's also the individual scouts, but so much of the thing, if we're just catering to the individual scouts and not providing you some things that make your unit stronger, we've failed, because it's not just about how many merit badges, how many awards did we earn. It's about how does that troop or that pack hold together for the whole year. And so we provide experiences in leadership, helping scouts just being more engaged with their scouting, the connections to each other, in the friendships and relationships that they build, the role models and the staff that surround them, the community that's built in camp of seeing all these troops, all these packs together in one place, and just creating challenges by choice that lead to significant growth in our scouts over the course of their time at camp. And of course, scouting skills, anything from sharpening a knife, handling a knife, building a fire, shooting an arrow, a bow and arrow, so many different kinds of skills, getting along with your neighbor who snores, any kinds of skills many kinds of skills can come through our summer camping experience. So our role and goal is to support all of these things as you come to camp with us this summer. there's some new wrinkles in how that looks this summer, simply because kids have had a couple years where they're, and all of us, frankly, have had a couple years where our world's been a little bit topsy-turvy, and re-emerging from that has caused some new areas of concern and of response on our part. And so you'll hear more about that today. Next slide, please. So this is a little overview of some of the things we're going to walk through early on in our presentation today. We want to help you prepare your scouts and to think that through a little bit of what things do I need to do with my troop or my pack to help them come to camp prepared for a successful experience there. Coming with a plan is really, of course, it's always a good idea. What's that motto thing that we do? Be prepared or something like that. And so for the leaders, anticipating, I know some scouts struggle with this issue or that issue, thinking that through, talking to the parent, what do you want us to do when they do X and such? That's coming with that plan ahead of time, preparing the scouts with themselves, with what do you think you should do when you run into this challenge or that challenge at camp? That pre-thought is a huge, huge aspect of the things we're working on right now, not just with our scouts, but with our camp staff to prepare them to be better this summer. Youth protection training, we're going to talk about that in some depth, a little bit of depth, and then the kindness campaign and anti-bullying. That gets into what I was saying before about how we're trying to anticipate and be proactive about some of the changes that youth are experiencing as a result, frankly, as a direct result of the pandemic, and other factors as well. But because even before the pandemic, we were seeing some issues with youth mental health, and we've got some preparation and some ways to help you be aware and to respond in helpful ways as camp comes along. So let's jump into all these things and then we'll get into the rest. Youth protection is something I think we're all probably familiar with or close to it. When you come to camp, you're required to have 2 BSA registered adult leaders with youth protection training. Now, any adult who comes to camp can take the youth protection training, whether or not they're registered. It's not a requirement, but if it's my pack or my troop, I'm going to say, you need to know this, because even though we can tell you the basics of it, if you haven't gone through the kind of the mechanical video version of how we protect our youth, you may not be as aware of what are the practices we put into place to keep our youth safe, not just at camp, but all year round. So it's a win-win in that way. It is it takes some time, but at the same time, your pack or your troop will benefit from all the adults knowing, here's how we keep you safe. And if notice that there are occasions where you'll have, in Cub Camp particularly, if it's just a small group and not the full pack coming, where you won't have 2 registered adult leaders coming to camp. And in that case, you'll want to check with the camp, and you'll, because frankly, we put, when we have 2 small groups, we put them together, and then you can conceivably have 1 adult from one group, 1 adult from the other group with youth protection training, and make the requirement in that way in a camp den. Addressing trends. This is something Chris mentioned earlier, and I'll mention again, and Todd's going to mention later. On June 8th and June 16th, there's an adult leader training. It's actually open to all adults, specifically focused on youth abuse, because that's the area where scouting is seeing more challenge and more issues crop up. Our youth protection training has been very, very effective. But as a former middle school teacher and principal, I can tell you that it's that moment when the adults aren't right there and present when stuff goes sideways. And this is part of that. We're on the front edge nationally with the Boy Scouts of working on youth abuse prevention and bullying prevention. Our camp staff for years have had a youth on youth abuse training to help them be aware of what to look for and how to intervene. when it's seen and known. And this, be aware of that training. We can put the links up in the chat here in just a moment. Actually, I have them right here. And if I can get to the chat, I will give those to you right away. This would be to everybody. And this is the boring part of the seminar. Oh, it's not copying the link. It's just copying the pretty words, I think. Yep, it just copied the words. I'll send those into the chat in just a moment when we move along, but we'll get those for you. And then also, if you go to the National BSA Youth Protection page, you will find some resources there to front load your youth with the kinds of, we have age appropriate by grade level / level of scouting. We have videos that help prepare your scouts for not just camp, but for situations in life where abuse might occur, and help them be prepared with what to do when that happens. And I think that's an important phrasing, when that happens. I don't know if there's anybody here who has never felt bullied. And the more we can equip our kids, not just with how to sharpen a knife and cook and do a lot of these things, but with how to, just life skills. How do we handle a conflict when it comes along? How do we handle bullying? The more we can prepare them, the better. And National has prepared some very nice resources for us on that national website, National Youth Protection website, I should say. And I think at this point, I'm going to turn things over to my good friend and colleague, Todd McDonald, to take us through some of the steps we're putting in place this summer and that you can use with your scouts.
Well, welcome everybody. I'm excited to have you all join us today, and those of you that will watch this later, just know that we in the Cascade Pacific Council, and Chris and myself specifically, are excited to have you out this summer for a mostly normal summer camp experience. Some minor little hitches and get-alongs, but for the most part, that smelling the smoke, you know, hanging out with your buddies, going swimming and doing merit badges, or going out with mom and dad and shooting bows and arrows, or playing a game, or doing a craft. All this stuff is going to happen, you know, eating food in a dining hall, or burning your own pancake if you're going to do it at Baldwin. It's just all going to be part of the experience that we've all come to know and love, and excited to get back at it. Those of you coming from out of council haven't been with us before, get ready for some sights and sounds and smells that are pretty unique for the Northwest in how we go about you know, doing things. So I want to talk a little bit, you know, we talk about, you know, making sure you bring your medicals and make sure that you have, you know, some plans on how you're going to come to camp, what merit badges or what type of activities you're going to do. You bring your sleeping bag and all those things that we are asking to do to prepare. And I'd like to suggest that maybe you consider being prepared for a couple other things as well. Adding a couple preparedness discussions and things between you and your other leaders and your scouts, even to talk about how expectations for behavior, because you know the scouting background and environment that we create should be free of bullying. It should be a place where people can feel safe. And so I want to talk a little bit about how you might be able to do this. First and foremost, this bullying prevention website here, www.scouting.org. This one here is a good place to go with a lot of different things. Chris just put into the chat a full on Bullying Prevention Month. We did a webinar. This goes far more in depth and provides a lot more resources. And I highly recommend, if you haven't seen that video, or you guys really are new to having a bullying prevention plan in your unit, that webinar is a great way to get started. Okay, next slide. So you'll notice that when we talk about bullying and later on mental health, our bullying prevention plan is a campaign called Choose Kindness. And so this Choose Kindness campaign, you'll see these posters in and around camp And basically 3 basic things in there. Scouts care about the feelings of others. Scouts respect others and appreciate differences. And Scouts protect those who are being mistreated. And in and all, if you're going to do nothing but have a discussion about those 3 things and a buy-in, that's the expectation that we have for all of the Scouts and people at camp, right? But, you think about, over the last couple of years, how, kids have lacked or had reduced socialization, more or less, supervision. And again, their virtual environment that they've actually just have learned to live in is not the same. And so some of these social things that they used to have and ability to kind of censor themselves has been kind of taken away. And so we need to help them focus. And again, they're going to have to relearn their social behaviors. There's going to be a lot of, personal quiet time away from home, maybe new. And then again, I think really what we're asking is that you have a discussion with your Scouts and leaders and talking about, how they feel when they've been treated unkindly and how they would do, how is a Scout being brave and making sure that they're standing up for those who are being treated unkindly, and how do you create that culture in your unit? Okay, next. This is a short little video for 4th through 6th grade that is a good starter one for everybody. And Chris, let's go ahead and run this video. It's not very long.
Hi, I'm Maya.
And I'm Darius.
And we have to talk about something.
It's bullying.
When people think of bullying, they think of kids getting shoved into lockers or having their heads flushed in a toilet. But the truth is, bullying can be a lot more complicated than that.
Bullies use their power to hurt or control others. And they might make you feel unsafe in places where you should feel protected.
And that's not okay. Your school, sports teams, and after-school clubs have to be safe spaces for everyone. There was a time when I didn't feel welcome at school. Some girls that I thought were my friends had decided I wasn't cool enough for them. Everywhere I went, they either laughed at me, made fun of me, or ignored me altogether. I didn't know what to do.
Yeah, there was a time when I didn't feel safe at school. I started to dread coming to football practice because one of my teammates would always take the drills too far. It didn't seem like anyone noticed. I mean, the coach was too busy focusing on the whole team to see me being bullied.
No one ever has the right to hurt you or make you feel unsafe.
The problem is, bullying is hard to stop. And that's because most people's first reaction to bullying is to ignore it. You may feel like it will go away, but the problem with ignoring it
is that it won't stop, and it might even get worse. Maybe you're embarrassed, or you want to believe that it's not a big deal.
Or maybe you're afraid that telling will make it worse, or that whoever you need to tell won't understand or be able to help.
But trust us, because we've been there. If you're being bullied, there's only one way to deal with it.
Stop, walk away, and tell an adult. Stop taking the abuse.
Get yourself away from the situation.
And go talk to an adult you trust. Tell them everything.
Parents, teachers, counselors, and coaches' first priority is your safety. Believe me, there are adults that want to help you.
Bullies might scare you out of telling, but if you tell an adult, the bullying is more likely to stop.
The adults in our lives won't tolerate bullying, but we can't tolerate it either. We have to stand up for each other, and we all know some kids get it the worst.
Last year, a friend of ours started feeling unwelcome and unsafe at school. He was being bullied for weeks just for being different and having different interests than some of the other kids at school.
We didn't want to see our friend get hurt or feel like he didn't belong. So we helped do something about it.
Kids who are LGBTQ, or who are of color, or maybe have learning challenges or physical differences, might get bullied the most. We need to work together to decide how safe our school can be.
Our differences are our strengths. We also know that bullies need help too.
But we can't tolerate their behavior. Never ignore bullying. Never stay silent. You will help yourself and help your bully more by speaking up.
Stop, walk away, and tell an adult. Even if the bullying happens online or on your phone, speak up whenever you see, hear about, or experience bullying.
Do it for yourself, for your friends, for the kids you've never even met. Always speak up.
It's time we work together to make our schools safer for everyone.
And this is a good point to let's go to the next slide there, Chris. Oh, what? Interesting, Chris. It won't let me do my video for some reason. So you might have to give me permission to, if people want to see me. So the key, before we go into mental health, one of the things that we're going to be talking about is if we let people know, especially our kids know, that they will experience something, and then we tell them, here are some things that you can do for yourself and others, and then even practice those things, you know, do a skit about it or something like that, then they're far more likely to be prepared when it actually happens to them. And they'll be far more aware to go ahead and do that when, oh, thank you, Chris, when something happens. And so I want to talk about, I'm going to get to youth mental health. You know, many years ago, we ran into a situation where all of a sudden the dam burst and we were running into several self-harm and mentally challenging issues that we're having. Everything from people having thoughts of hurting themselves and others to cutting, where people were cutting each other, or that they were just participating in self-destructive kind of activities. And we tried to, you know, we formed a mental health task force to look at this issue, and we came up with a real simple and easy way to do that. And one is that we got to, you know, be prepared mentally. We need to add mental health and in this, and to be prepared in our practice as well. Because if a youth knows that they'll be prepared for strong emotions, that they, you know, that they will have a loss of emotional control, those things will happen. I think we as adults, they still happen, right? What do? You know, and be prepared to talk about your emotions. This is something that normally does not happen. And you and your troop, and with you and your youth, should be able to create an environment where talking about their emotions and their emotional fragility is the way to help bring to light any people who are struggling and to help getting them support. Again, knowing that something most probably will happen allows the lesson to you know, to the blow of that is happening to me, which is like, it only happens to me type of thing. If you told them that it happens to everybody, they'll know that when that happens, and then they'll be prepared to engage and support in the challenge and the like. So let's go to the next slide, Chris. I'm going to go quickly through this, but there's 4 kind of primary skills of emotional intelligence. And if you were to watch the mental health video that Chris put in the chat, it goes into far more detail than I'm going in today, but you can see the 4 in here. Not to go over each, you know, self-awareness, self-management, social awareness, and relationship management. If you think about the dynamics of how your youth interact, all of this stuff is important. Next slide. So first, we're going to talk a little bit about self-awareness. How well does our youth, and again, different levels, and maybe it's time dependent too. Maybe at times they're more aware than not. How are they aware of their own personal emotions, what their strengths and limitations are? There's people in my life that I try to minimize my interaction with because I like to call, they just tend to suck all the energy out of my soul. And so, I mean, and how well do other people realize that they need to limit themselves to certain, things? And, how well do they know their values and motives and tendencies and normal responses? I mean, these are just kind of how well are they prepared to know themselves to be able to identify things inside themselves. All right, next slide. Self-management. Well, I think this is the point of scouting in a lot of ways. But so if you're aware of yourself and your emotions, how do you, what tools are you going to use to directing your behavior in a positive way? How do you manage your feelings, staying in control of feelings and impulses? How do you deal with momentary self-control, issues, when you lose control? And we as leaders, we want them to be able to self-manage all this stuff without intervention, but it's definitely a skill that needs to be taught. Next slide. It is interesting to me that most kids don't understand where emotions come from and how you can peel apart what's going on with you emotionally. So I like this big emotions card. I didn't create it. It exists out there, but to help define, so if you feel good and you want more of it, then you're typically glad. Is that, people don't have any issue of being identified when they're experiencing, happiness or joy or gladness. Now, the next three are typically is when they start to encounter challenge or adversity. Anger or being mad means that something feels unfair, unjust, that they have been wronged in some way. And that's what creates anger. Anger is the center of that type of behavior. You walk up and someone says, "I'm sorry, you're too young, we can't help you." That doesn't seem fair. Now I'm mad, right? So sadness is all about loss. Sadness is when you lose something. It could be as simple as, you lost ability to do something. You actually lost something important to you, a thing. You lost a person or, a friend. These are the types of losses. There's all sorts of different ways to experience loss, and each one of them creates this feeling of sadness. And scared is this feel of being hurt and, having this impending feel of being unsafe or hurt. And so and when people try to understand that and then have a discussion with our youth is that, can you be mad and sad at the same time? What does that look like? Can you think of a time where you felt that way? Have you been glad and sad at the same time? Can you mix these up? What happens if you're sad, mad, scared, and glad all at once? Is that possible? I guess it is. That's why dealing with complicated emotions is tough. And if we start thinking about it now, you'll be far more prepared when it actually happens to you. Next slide. Again, as we teach leadership, and whether you're being a leader or you're being a follower, this is a lot of the stuff that we're trying to do and how to deal with the emotional side of leadership, and how to deal with body language, how to use empathy, how to be a good listener. All these things are very big parts of our leadership training. And if your youth could use some help with that and they're over 13, National Youth Leader Training does all of this and more. But hopefully you and your troop has a plan to do the social awareness piece, because it's a big part of the den and patrol concept is to be able to talk through these things. All right, next. And again, relationship management. And this is where I think I've run into a lot. Somebody hurt me, somebody didn't talk to me, somebody's ignoring me, I'm not feeling included. This person is not being fair, is not agreeing with me. These are things that we deal with when we really feel like we're herding cats with our youth. But each one of these experiences that you have with your youth where this is happening is actually a good thing. It's an opportunity to discuss how to deal with their emotions and how to best use tactics to better have good relationships with each other. So don't just jump in necessarily and tell everybody to, knock it off or to behave. Look at it from a standpoint of how can you use these things of, conflict or, struggle and turn it into a discussion about one's relationships or their, how they can better achieve these things. All right, next one. All right, so this is a video. I recommend that you show. Now, much like we don't talk about bullying when we do bullying prevention, we talk about, our Choose Kindness campaign. We talk about mental health and we use the word tired brain. Now, using the word mental health with kids is not as bad as it used to be. We need to be able to use that term, but most people may not think that they have an issue with mental health, but most kids definitely understand what is tired brain. And here is a video that we use with our camp staff to help prepare them. So here you go.
Tests, traffic, Twitter. Oh, it's also overwhelming and stressful. But who has time to relieve stress when it's constantly building and building? Well, we hope you do. Because studies have shown that too much stress leads to headaches, higher blood pressure, an upset stomach, memory loss, disrupted sleep, and increased risk for heart attacks. Stress does a number on your mind and body, draining your immune system and messing with your ability to concentrate. Having tense, sore muscles, shallow breath, increased heart rate, these are all signs that you might be too stressed out. Hey, we all know that you can't take fewer classes. You can't quit the track team or resign from student government. We get it. But here are a few tips that will help you feel calmer inside when your outside life gets too hectic. 1. Stay in and recuperate. When stressed, you might feel the need to tackle everything on your to-do list all at once. But that sets you up for burnout and failure. Instead, find a simple routine task to complete at home, like doing the dishes or vacuuming. Studies show that completing a repetitive task allows your brain to pare down and focus. The perfect cure for a worried, scattered mind. After you finish cleaning your house, clean yourself. Yes, we wrote that. Clean yourself because a warm bath or hot shower will boost your mood. Studies have shown that the sensation of warm water triggers responses in the body and brain similar to those triggered by emotional warmth. So, think of your next shower like a soothing liquid hug. I love you guys. If you find stress keeping you up all night, try progressive muscle relaxation just before bed. That is a fancy way to describe clenching up every muscle in your body for a few seconds and then letting go. Lie on your back and start with your forehead, continuing through your tummy, down through your thighs, and finally your little toes. Repeat as needed until every muscle is completely relaxed. Then, sleep like a baby. 2. Get out for good vibes. Downward doggy paddle your way through stress. The spiritual mantras used in yoga and meditation help focus the mind and stave off feelings of anxiety. Yoga not for you? That's okay. Go outside for a good dose of natural light and a little jog. Exercise lessens anxiety and helps maintain feelings of calm, even in the face of distressing events. Hey, leave the headphones behind. All the distracting chatter from those texts and emails and tweets can wait. And hey, instead of texting, emailing, or tweeting your best friend, why don't you guys just meet up and get in a good laugh? Because laughter injects a surge of endorphins into the body, which creates feelings of happiness and euphoria, which is why you like them so much. 3. Here's the best one. Treat yourself to something yummy. Chocolate. All right, look, we're not condoning emotional eating because that's a whole other thing. But there are treats that you can keep handy that will improve your mood, like dark chocolate. Certain chemicals in chocolate help relax the blood vessels, which reduces blood pressure. You can also appeal to your sense of smell for relaxation. The aromas of spearmint and lavender have proven de-stressing effects. So go buy a lavender-scented candle or pick up some spearmint tea. Take a moment to yourself and breathe in the goodness. There you have it, Wellcasters, our quick tips for stress relief. You're going to have to anticipate that life will be filled with ups and downs. So when the challenges do come, you can take comfort now in knowing that there's a warm shower just on the other side of your bathroom, or a delicious piece of chocolate stashed in your bag. So yummy. Be sure to incorporate stress relief strategies into your daily routine. Make them as essential as breathing, in through your nose and out through your mouth. Well, that's all from me today, Wellcasters. Would you do me a kindness? Subscribe to our channel. Sign up for our newsletter to receive sneak peeks and other awesome stuff. See you later.
All right, let's go to the next slide. So this is kind of a fun little video to kind of show people to start talking about it, and then ask this question. What do you do when you are stressed out, right? This can even work out, when you're mad, even your elementary age kids can get this. When you're feeling angry, what do you do? Right? These are questions. And so the idea being is create a little what they call a soothing chart. And I just draw a little picture or just put down what are the 4 or 5 things that you're going to do when these emotions and these things happen to you, because they will. And then we ask them to share this information with a close friend or a mentor, so that they know, as far as summer camp, some of these guys say, listen, I'm really stressed out right now. I need to do something. I'm going to go ahead and just take a quick little walk. I'll be right back. Right. Or, listen, I'm going to go around the corner here and just kind of meditate for a few minutes, or, whatever. They know what they're going to do. Somebody they trust knows what they're doing, and everybody agrees to work together to help deal with their mental challenge that they're having at the time. We have found with our summer camp staff that this behavior created a culture of talking about mental health. And we didn't even say mental health. We talked about tired brain. But because we used the word tired brain, everybody relates to it, and everybody believes that they have tired brain or time with tired brain, especially when you're going to go to summer camp or be on camp staff. So that's what we have there. All right, next slide. All right, I guess I'm going to pass this on over to Chris.
Thank you, Todd. I just want to underscore a couple of Todd's points, because I cannot really emphasize enough the difference this made in our camp staff, this practice, and just recommend it enough. I can't recommend it enough to you to use with your youth at their level. This process, well, because stress is normal, sometimes kids, adults don't ever own that, recognize that, right? And sometimes you're not expecting it. I'm presenting this self that is not stressed, right? But if I am stressed, being able to recognize, and this is a really important thing, I think right now, the difference between what's unsafe, because that's a word that's used a lot, versus uncomfortable. If we don't know that in scouting, that's a problem, because we have to be uncomfortable when we accept a challenge that's going to help us grow. So the difference between unsafe and uncomfortable is a really important distinction. And so how we help prepare them is, we know there's going to be stress. What do we do about it? Right? That's a great approach, a very effective approach in our experience. And so that's why we're just pounding the table about that and so excited about it, frankly. Also, some of the things about I wanted to underscore that feelings card, the big feelings card. Feelings are, we hope, temporary, that we come back to our foundation. Like the difference between happiness and joy. I'm happy because the weather's nice. I'm happy because my friend said something nice to me, but I'm joyful deep down because of how my life is. Every one of our scouts doesn't necessarily have the foundation that we would hope that they would have, but we can help them. We can help move the needle. At least I believe we can. Anyhow, what we want to turn the tide a little bit here in our presentation to focusing a little bit more on just helping encourage you to know that when the parents of the pack or the parents of the troop are concerned about, well, is my kid going to a safe place? That you know that we're preparing our facility and our people to provide as safe an experience as possible. And so starting with our camp staff, I want you to know that it's as the camping manager for the council, that we have our camp managers, as soon as we get them hired, as soon as we start talking about next summer, probably before the previous summer ends, we're helping them prepare about what will make camp better, safer, stronger. How do we anticipate challenges? What did you run into this year that you weren't prepared for to get ready? So we start with our camp managers early on, trying to help them be prepared for whatever is going to come next go around. Now, COVID pulled the rug in so many ways, but I was so grateful to be working with this group of people who collaborated to try and put structure in the insane. And that helped us get through it for sure. Then in the camp staff training specifically, we prepare our camp staff with the training that Todd just described. We use that exact video. We use a SULI chart, and they get into it. It gives them permission to feel stress, because camp staffing is stressful. But what am I going to do about it? Who am I going to turn to when that happens? That's proven to be very effective. And not just anecdotally, but we've seen fewer cases of staff having emotional and mental challenges that they couldn't get past. They were willing to turn. So we also prepare our staff with youth protection training, with workplace harassment training, with hazardous weather training, we make sure they are background checked, with food handler training. I mean, there's training on training on training. In fact, there's the whole camp staff guidebook talks about not just what do you bring, but who are you bringing to camp? As you bring yourself to camp, which you are you bringing? What you are we looking for when you come to camp? How do you follow that scouter's code of conduct? And these are just like directly taught in the staff training week, which has grown from the good old days of you arrive on Saturday and the following Sunday, a week from then, the Sunday, the scouts arrive. It's grown to be a 9-day training. So we've added to our staff training time to make sure our staff are better prepared when you come into camp. Our camp managers are leading pre-camp meetings and pre-camp communications right from the time that their staff is together and hired, to have that kind of planning and preparation to make camp as safe as possible. There's a very long training that happens during staff week that Todd and I generally get to do. There's some of it that's mandatory about OSHA safety, and then there's pieces of it that we've added that are navigating camp life, because it's important. We want our staff to have those safe experiences. There's a lot of job specific training. For example, running a bikes course, we have identified several different nationally recognized trainings that a person can do. Climbing, there's required training that you must do to run any kind of climbing activity in scouting, and particularly if you're doing it at a summer camp. The National Camping School is one piece of that puzzle. You can imagine any of the activities where it'd be obviously unsafe if you just said, oh yeah, go do it, like say shooting or waterfront or those sorts of things. There's a specific training that our folks have to go through, and there's somebody who checks us on it every darn year. Did you do the training? Did you do? Yep, here's their card, here's certification, and they check this stuff. So that's important to know. I hope if you didn't know that before, just know that that's going on all year long. It's why I'm employed. There's a lot of things that happen all year long to make sure these things are ready. Can we see the next slide? So after we prepare, not after, but in and amongst preparing and training our staff, we have at the council level, an enterprise risk management committee. And what they do is they go through and they look at the activities that we're doing, not just in our camps, but in scouting. And this is a local committee made up of local experts, people who are safety managers for their company, for example, or have a specific skill set. Who can I say, oh, well, this activity is dangerous because of that, And so if they're going to request safety upgrades, they're often upgrades over what the baseline is, and so that we keep it as safe as possible. They review how things went. They review incidents that actually happened, and try to identify, was it avoidable? What could we have done different? So besides our camp managers, we've got people who are in the field and more objective because they're removed from that camp life, observing and collecting information and reviewing it, and making sure we make improvements year over year. So they consult with us when we're starting something new, like land sailing a couple of years ago. Where could kids get hurt? Where could adults get hurt? How do we do this safely? And that gets us to the program hazard analysis. Not just when we start a new activity, but for all our activities. We look at the program and figure out where are the risky points and how do we mitigate those things? How do we figure out what's going to happen before it happens so we don't get surprised and say, oh, when we did candle making, somebody got burnt. Oh, what a surprise. We planned for it, right? So program hazard analysis. And then NCAP, National Camp Accreditation Program. This happens every year and it's lengthy. There's standards on standards on standards that keep your camp directors up nights and folks like me trying to make sure not just that we have all the evidence in the evidence folders that we're doing things the way they're supposed to be, but that the practice on the ground equals the evidence in the evidence folder, if that makes sense. So it's not just creating a fun program, but making sure it can happen safely and that people have done the trainings that they're supposed to do. And it's anything from first aid training to have I done my climbing training, to what's my kitchen staff like, to is the refrigeration system in the camp checked that it's holding the proper temperature day by day by day over the whole course of camp. So I even had somebody ask me about the refrigerator in the training post that holds just pop, and where is the cold chart on the pop cooler, because it's required. But even though, I mean, my pop's not going to go bad and make somebody sick, but it's rigorous, I guess, is the short version of all that. And we have a visit at each of our camps each summer from a team of folks who's not entirely from around here. They're from the region, and they're volunteers who come and tick the boxes, make sure we're doing things as we should, and then walk around camp to make sure that, again, that the execution matches the plan that's written down on paper. So I hope this is helpful in understanding kind of the process of making camp safe for kids. And maybe it can relieve, if you have parents who have concerns or fears about how camps are run, it's not that nothing goes wrong, stuff goes wrong, but at the same time, there's a whole lot of effort into trying to make sure it is safe before you ever arrive at camp. Okay, next slide, please. Oh, you're already there. Ha. Our facilities have inspections each year before and after camp. Some camps that's a little more difficult than others. For example, Camp Pioneers snowed in until sometimes just a couple weeks before camp. But those inspections are meant to identify any faulty systems or areas, and identify priorities for what do we need to get fixed for the following season. And that's an important piece of the puzzle. And it's done by our facilities committee, totally different from the other committees that I've described. Safety moments, we would encourage you to do those at your pack or troop level, just because it just highlights that we start a meeting, we're thinking about safety. It just plants that seed, and sometimes they can be fun and sometimes they can be a little harder, but they're worth doing. We do it with our camp staff. We do it internally with our professional staff at the council level. And we just encourage you to do those too. Great website has like 90 something safety moments pre-done. You don't have to make it up at all. But it does set the expectation that we're prepared for safety. Our emergency procedures at camp, there's medical protocols and there's our emergency procedures that are both reviewed every year to make sure when something big and bad happens, we have thought about it as much as possible, and we have a response that's prepared. So our medic is following medical protocols that are signed off by people in the field before that stuff happens. What do we do when somebody's having a diabetic emergency and stuff? So there's their own training, plus there are protocols. And then supply chain, that may not seem much like a safety thing, but we've had these last couple years difficulty getting certain items. And so if you don't have the proper item to do the program you'd like to do, you can't do the program. So and sometimes that includes things like anything from food to the proper rope for climbing to it's hard. Last year we barely had a bikes program because the bikes were sold out everywhere, and we had to get ourselves enough bikes to run our bikes programs. So so we're working for that, and anticipating any sorts of supply outages we can, and trying to make sure they're mitigated before camp arrives. I think Todd is going to take us over with the next slide here, where we're going to talk about COVID and what remains of COVID procedures, because it's still a thing. It's not gone yet, as much as we wish it were.
All right, everybody. Thank you for hanging out. I know we're just getting past an hour. We're almost done. I just want to tell you that if you have any questions about camp or anything, we're here for you on that. We do intend to kind of hang out afterwards and answer any questions that you may have as we move forward, as we finish off. But okay, so COVID is here. I deal with probably a COVID outbreak in the unit every other day right now. So it's happening. People are getting COVID. They're doing their best. They're screening it before they arrival, which we're going to ask you to do that. We think that it'd be smart, especially if you're coming from out of council, to make sure that you do a rapid test of all of your people before you leave home, literally that morning. And just make sure that everybody, that when they get on the, in the car, that they're good to go. And we will do our level best to help support that. And again, we recommend everybody be vaccinated that's eligible. It's definitely what's making these current outbreaks or whatever less of an issue. We need to make sure that some people that are coming will still want to mask and social distance. And it's up to us, when we talk about choose kindness before, that we are doing these things where we are making sure that they feel comfortable and included, even if they want to wear a mask still. So we ask that you go ahead and bring masks just in case. If we'll talk a little bit about what happens if somebody gets sick, but we'll go into there. We're going to be basically eating cafeteria style, except for Camp Baldwin. We recommend masks in the dining hall, but again, we're not going to require that. We want to make sure that we will be requiring hand washing and cleanliness for coming into the dining hall and in your campsite after using the bathroom and whatnot. We need to know immediately when somebody, so we're going to ask you to do a welfare check on everybody every morning, and just make sure if anybody has symptoms, then just isolate them, get them to us. We'll go ahead and give them a antigen test. If they've got a cough or cold or whatever, then we'll just talk with you about how best to deal with their schedule and their day, because no one likes to be sick and do things and get everybody else a cold or whatever. And of course, it could still be COVID. It just hasn't tested positive yet. So we might ask them to mask or take a down day best that they can when that happens. Now, if somebody actually shows up at camp and has symptoms and comes down with COVID, then they will be asked to leave camp. We will isolate them for then and then go ahead and send them away. Those people who had close contact with that person will be asked to monitor symptoms and possibly, mask and social distance best they can. But we will not send an entire unit home because one person ends up with that, with COVID. You may have more strict rules for you and your people. If I've been a scoutmaster for several years, not currently, but if it were me bringing a troop, I'd make sure I had a couple, I don't know, if I, about maybe even as much as one test kit per scout, just to make sure that I'm monitoring these things, and I'm going to take that. If I am coming from a long distance, then I need a backup plan for how I'm going to get this person home. If you're riding by train or plane or some other mass transit, you may have troubles and need to kind of hold over at a hotel or campground or something before you go. All right, next one.
Great, thanks for that, Todd. We have just some reminders of some important upcoming dates. If you're in a Cub Pack, June 1st is an important date. It's your opportunity to get camp swag. It's not a mandatory payment date, but if you pay for all your scouts in full by June 1st, you receive the camp swag, the cinch bag, and there's a trading post discount and a coupon for the trading post there, and some fun items as well. And then I want to point out all camps are having their pre-camp meetings. I believe it's 7 p.m. This is all camps, whatever camp you're going to, on June 1st. And on the portal, those links will be posted about how do you access those meetings. Now, most of our camps are doing this on the regular. Several have had several pre-camp meetings already, where they just are giving adult leaders a chance to ask questions, to get comfortable with the program, and to help interpret that to their scouts. So that's June 1. June 8 and June 16th, I should have put in there, are both dates where with that youth on youth protection training for leaders. And you can tune into there on the links that I think Chris added into the chat a little earlier. And then for all camps, whatever camp you're going to, 2 weeks before you show up there, that's when your full payment is due. And let me tell you, it's also just a convenience, if nothing else, for you to have that peace of mind that all my kids are paid for, all my adults are paid for. We're ready to go. We just show up and say, yep, we said 12 people, 2 adults. Here's 12 people. Here's 2 adults. Check the box. Off you go. Right? Very simple. So thanks for your preparation in that regard. Making sure your camp numbers are finalized. That's important too. And then finally, keep checking those camp portals, which is the next slide. So sit tight on those for a second about additional communication and where do you get that detailed information about your camp that you're attending with your kids. Next slide, please. We have lots of ways for you to get information, and hopefully not so many that they're confusing. If I were looking for an answer to any question about the camp I was attending right now, I would start with the summer camp portal. And you can see at the bottom of the slide the web address for that. And it'll give you everything from the camp director's email to the special needs form, to the health form, the medical form that Chris talked about at the top of the hour. And frankly, just the camp schedule, it's got what programs are offered. One thing I want to make sure I highlight, and it's kind of late, but for scout troops, if you are coming, you do not need to sign up for merit badges. There are some programs that are limited capacity, and those you sign up on arrival, and it's a lottery then for example, metalworking has limited capacity. You can only have so many people around a forge at a time. And so there's a lottery for those who are interested in that class. So that piece makes it a little more tough to plan that portion of the schedule, but by and large, folks get what they want when they come to camp for those things. What else? It actually looks pretty cool, those portals on a mobile device as well. So it's nice. It works both ways. Next slide, please. And the tiniest of print are all the emails and phone numbers you need to reach us, and to make sure you get your questions answered if you can't find it anywhere else. We're good with that. So wanted to make sure you had those. Our team is here to serve, and we want you to get the right information. And when something does, like I had a call immediately before this webinar about the 2023 reservations and couldn't get there from one place. So we have things we need to fix. We have oversights. And so it's nice when people point those out to us so we can fix them. Feedback is a gift. All right, next slide. Yes, we are still looking for a few camp staff, particularly that 16 and 17-year-old age group. If you know somebody who's looking for a great way to spend their summer, this is a great time to get to apply to be on summer camp staff. We're looking for some specialized positions still, which frankly, if we find these positions and we're turning over all the rocks, we can have the program. And if we don't find them, it's hard to have a program when you don't have that leader with that specialized training. In particular, and we're almost always looking for some of these positions. So if you have a youth in your life who's trying to find some kind of a direction, they'd like to be an EMT. Hey, we can help them with that even. We want camp medics. We want people with climbing training. We want people with specialized bikes training or specialized food service training. And a lot of times we can help them with that training through special donations that have been made to help us fund that. So that's important. And volunteer commissioners as well. So we have room for adult volunteers on our camp staff. So next slide. And like we said at the top, we're promising first-class summer camp. And we're working hard to make that all those pieces get all fit together in time for you to arrive, because we care about it. We care about this program. Our Give a Darn is far from broken, and we're excited for you to get here. And we were excited for our kids to experience these incredible outdoor settings. We are so blessed with our camps. Each and every one has these unique offerings, unique settings, and I can't wait for your kids to experience them. And for you, frankly, to be able to experience them. So thank you for that. Thank you for what you do as leaders to prepare your kids and just get yourselves ready for this great experience. And I hope you have a great, relaxing, enjoyable time at our camps. Even though you're on duty, making sure your scouts are doing just great. Next slide, please.
Oh, I just wanted to go ahead and interject that couple things for you to realize is that we're not going to have another council webinar before camp. At this point, each camp will be having their own webinars. Am I jumping into the next? The other thing that I want to share is that that we're at this point where we should be passing on the communication onus directly between you and the camp directors. However, if you're feeling like you're not getting an answer that you need, or you need Chris or myself or Carrie or Deanne or anybody, we all stand ready to be there for you, because we look at our people and all of you as partners in this. There will be no mint on your pillow. You will be expected to work as part of your vacation week with us. And we want to make sure that all of us are focused on making sure that our youth are having a top-notch experience. And we do care about you too, and making sure your experience is good as well. So just know that we see us all as a team. And if you need anything, just know that we're always here for you. All right, go ahead. I guess I want to open up for any questions and answers. So if you need anything, any questions at this point, feel free to throw them up in the questions thing. We're happy to hang out here. Chris Bartell, do you have anything else you want to add before we move on to that?
Let's see, on those deadlines again, let's just go over that real quick here. Always important, because we did have one question about, so June 1st, full payment for Cubs to get your camp bucks and your swag. And does that include troops as well for the camp bucks and swagger? Is that deadline passed?
That deadline passed. That was May 1st.
Wah, wah. All right, let's see here. What else? June 8th. Yep, we've got our training for youth protection for adult leaders, and on the 16th as well. And just a reminder to everybody that 2 weeks before you come to camp, everything's due. And to double check your numbers. Okay, I'll check on, let me just jump over to Facebook here. You might hear a little bit of noise from our webinar. Just a second here. And I'll check the comments here. We've put links in the comments there as well to the webinars that Todd had mentioned, as well as to the other tools and materials there that we've talked about, and the links to the youth protection webinars that we're going to be doing as well with some folks at National. So please check the links for that. Also, don't forget to check your email, because we'll have all of that in email as well. Let's see, I'm not seeing any other comments or questions on Facebook, so I think we are good. Does anyone have questions? Oh, there's one question there for you,
Chris. The t-shirt orders, I know we're working on that in some cases.
Yeah, we are working to get those set up for you, so you can pre-order. Once those are open, we would ask that you do those by troop or by pack, so that we can have your whole pack or troop order ready and prepared for you when you arrive. It's a little challenging. One challenge we're anticipating with the system that we're setting up is, so Sally Smith orders a youth large and an adult medium, but somehow the troop or pack number isn't there. And where's Sally? Where's her t-shirts? We want to get you your t-shirts. So doing it by pack and by troop is going to be a much more efficient way to get you what you're asking for and what you're ordering ahead of time. I do not have a firm date for you. I apologize for that. However, we know that we are working on it and trying to get it set up prior to you arriving at camp, because that's TikTok. Here we come. And those will be on the portals. Once they're open, we'll put the links on the portals, of course.
Great. And highly encourage everyone to share, all of the leaders out there, to share that with your parents that are going, even if they're not attending. There's just so much great information there. I mean, you guys and the camp directors and everybody who's helped out put content on there. It's just such a fantastic resource about any questions you might have about camp, or if you've been on the fence about coming to camp, or you're thinking about going to camp next year. I mean, even if you're poking around like, oh, we're thinking about going to Pioneer next year, check out their portal too, because it's just really fun. You just get a lot of information on what's happening this year, and just tons and tons of information. There's contact information there. There's weather. There's maps. There's literally everything. And so really recommend folks check that out. You can get the links for those at cpcbsa.org. It's right, there's a big banner at the top there with our little countdown of 31 days until summer camp, as Mr. Harold has a heart attack. So super excited about it. We've got lots of fun swag, and it's getting back to normal. I know my troop's really excited about it, and so can't wait myself. That's gonna be great. But check out those portals, gang. Really great information, and it's freshy fresh. Lots of great stuff there that keeps getting updated. If you want to look at menus, really everything is there, and then there's tons of stuff that's downloadable, so you can print things out, and so that's all available to you there. Okay, I'm not seeing any other questions, so I think that is it, gang. Well, thanks Chris and Todd for giving us all this great information for the mental health side of things. I know that's becoming a big push. I mean, we're coming out of COVID. It's been a weird, wacky season, and I hope that and firmly believe that camp is the reboot all of our systems need, whether you're an adult or you're a kiddo and you need to get outdoors and smell the fresh air, whether it's up at the dusty air at Baldwin, or the fresh sea water air at Meriwether, or wherever you're headed. It's just going to be fantastic, and a reboot for the system, and including for adults. That's something I'm going to keep emphasizing. We all need it as much as the kids. So Awesome. Well, thanks guys for all this information. Again, there are links to this. We will have this is being recorded. We'll have the audio version, the video version. We will have links on at cpcbsa.org/webinars, and you'll have the email for that. So all this is here. So please share this with other parents that are going, because I think the issues that Todd and Chris really covered here about the safety. I mean, it is an insane checklist that this crew goes through and our volunteers help out with. It is an incredible to keep camp safe as possible. Hey, we are playing outdoors and running around in the mud and the dirt and all that stuff. But so bumps and bruises may happen, but by golly, we keep it as safe as possible. And in so many ways, and especially in the mental health side too, some great tools and resources that we're creating and building and that are already accessible to you. So please check those out. Just one quick note that we are going on a hiatus from a webinar perspective. We sent out an email, quite a few emails actually, about when you would like to have webinars. So they will be moving most likely to Sunday evenings when we are back at it in August. We're working on a couple of scheduling things with the summit, which you have seen if you've come to the roundtable. So we're working on some ideas around that to try and provide you with all of this great information, because there's always just so much going on. Of course, just watch your emails, because we will be sending weekly emails for Compass Points, because it's just lots of deadlines and things like that you need to know about. But webinars themselves will move to Sunday evenings, because that's when you guys want to see this and watch it and have it available to you and make it more interactive and have more folks join in. So that's going to be great. We'll get those set up, and we will start that in earnest in August, September, as we head back to school. So thanks all for joining us. Really appreciate your time, your energy, your passion for scouting, your time with the kids and getting everybody back outdoors. Super excited about that, and we can't thank you enough. So thanks so much. Don't forget, you can always check us out at cpcbsa.org. There's contact information. Everything you need is there, and we're happy to answer questions at any time. So thank you so much for joining us today, and we will see you next time.